In this video, we're going to take a look into Lonnie Walker's fourth year, maybe final year with the Spurs. And we're going to take a look at what he's doing well, what are some things that he needs to improve on, and what are some things that are driving me nuts. Full disclosure, I'm a big Lonnie Walker fan, but I'm also a coach, so I'm going to keep it real with you. Let's get into it. In this way, we're going to see Lonnie Walker doing a great job of recognizing how the defense is guarding him on the pick and roll, seeing that the defender goes underneath the screen, so he doesn't hesitate, doesn't think about it too much. He stops behind the three-point line and lets it fly and knocks it down. Previous seasons, he would hesitate in these situations. Another thing that Lonnie Walker's doing well this season is offering help on the pick and roll from the backside. He's able to help on the big man as he rolls down the lane and is athletic enough to recover out to the corner and contest that three-point shot off the kickoff. I think there's a pro and there's a con to Lonnie's athleticism. The obvious pro is that he's able to recover and use his athleticism, take a bump from the offensive player, and still be athletic enough to make a play like this block. Another big plus with Lonnie is his ability to be a heat check type player and to be able to hit big buckets when you need them. There's some times where, you need an answer to a big basket and Lonnie's the guy that you call. There's been instances where he sits the whole fourth quarter, but the Spurs put him in there in the final play or two, the final couple possessions, because he's able to hit big shots. And that's a huge plus to Lonnie Walker's game. All right, something that stands out to me is that Lonnie has a bad habit of ball watching, of looking at the play and totally losing his guy. He does a great job of coming down on the defensive side, getting to the correct spot, but as soon as he gets to his spot and he starts watching the ball, his guy starts doing whatever he wants, cutting backdoor, cutting right in front of Lonnie's face, sneaking behind him for a rebound, getting after. Lonnie needs to do a better job of keeping his head on a swivel and always knowing where his guy is and what's happening on the floor. And to do that, he has to sink a little bit lower on the defensive side so he can have them both in his field of vision and just be quicker to react. Sometimes you see defensive players looking back and forth, like just always moving their head and always seeing what's going on. Lonnie has a tendency to just watch and then forget about what his job is. And sometimes the whole play is going on around Lonnie and he's just kind of standing there in one spot, and you can just tell he loses track of what's going on the defensive side of the ball, and his off-ball awareness needs to get better.
In this play, we're going to see him having to get switched on Ja Morant. And there's just no effort on this play. He's standing straight up. He doesn't hustle over the screen. He kind of just trails from behind and never really gets himself back in a low athletic stance where he's able to move laterally and use that agility that he seems to not have on defense. He can have the agility on offense, but on defense, he seems to struggle moving laterally, coming off over screens. And in this case, you can see him just not really put in the effort to go over the screen and to get back in front. And then he's complaining about this foul that is an obvious foul. He's not being aggressive. That's another thing too, is that when guarding Ja Morant, he's really just like, okay, I'm in front of you. I don't know what to do from here. Instead of forcing the issue and being aggressive and making Ja Morant's job difficult, there's a real lack of physicality in Lonnie Walker's defensive game. And honestly, I think this is one of the ugliest parts to his game, is that the physicality that he lacks on defense. One of the other things that Lonnie does that just drives me nuts, and these are things that I bench players for, is when there's a lack of effort in transition. And Lonnie seems to give you lack of effort in both ways. Sometimes he's slow to sprint a lane on offense, and then there's many times where, like in cases like this, where he shoots the ball and he's the last one down the floor. He's the second to third last one down the floor. And it's like, okay, he shoots the ball and then he's like, okay, what do I do next? And it's like, bro, hustle your tail back down on the defensive end and make a play. This closeout right here from Lonnie Walker is probably one of the worst closeouts that I've ever seen. I see better closeouts from varsity boys basketball, right? So this hop step jumping into the closeout. I'm pretty sure that that's not how Pop is teaching them to close out in practice. And it's this type of closeout that just makes me think, bro, what are you doing?
Going underneath this screen on a guy who hasn't stepped foot inside of the three-point line is unacceptable. You know that this guy wants to catch this ball, use this pick and roll to get his shot off, to get that three-point shot off. It's what he wanted to do all game. There's no reason to go underneath this screen. That's just knowing your personnel.
Thank you guys for watching this video. If you want to see more Spurs content, click this playlist right here. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go Spurs, go.